The Inc. Insider Index tracks insider trading activity among the top 50 value and growth stocks on the TSX. We are joined by Ted Dixon, CEO of Inc. Research. Ted, thanks very much for coming on the show. Before we get into some energy firms where you've been seeing insider trading, how have the stocks in the index been doing lately?
We had a pretty good year with the Canadian Insider Index in 2024. It had a over 20% gain, 21.8% for the year. So that's pretty good, 3.8% better than the TSX Composite by our estimates, and pretty competitive even with the U.S. market. So, I think it reflects some of the things that Canada has going for it that maybe President of the United States coming in, Donald Trump wants to get his hands on. But look, we've got a lot of resources, Andy, a lot of commodities, and in a world where we see now structurally elevated geopolitical risk, I think more and more global investors are going to come to Canada and to try and hedge some of that elevated geopolitical risk. And I think that's one reason why 2024 was a good year for the Canadian Insider Index. And I don't see the world getting any less risky in 2025. So, well, I'm sure we'll have an interesting year ahead.
And tell us, just very briefly, Ted, I know we can't get into the full mechanics, but insider buying, is that a factor in the insider index, or how does it all work?
It is. We look at three core categories: valuations, what we call insider commitment, and price momentum. They're all equally weighted. And so the kind of the sauce that brings it all together is the insider commitment. We want to look for those cheap companies where insiders are adding to their position, or those growth companies where insiders are hanging on and not selling all their shares.
Some stocks on your radar include Tamarak Valley Energy, that has been in favor with investors lately. What's going on there on the insider front?
So that's a great question, because since we did the rebalancing in November, we rebalance the index 4 times a year. Everything goes back to equal weight. It's had a nice run. It's up 13.1%. So this is when we're looking, are insiders selling? And at Tamarak Valley, no, they're not. They're doing a little bit of buying. In fact, we've seen 3 insiders acquiring net 82,756 shares. You may say, well, that's not a lot, but why we're interested in that is because the stock has been rallying and the insiders are still acquiring. So, Andy, maybe, if we have a really good year, you'll bring me back on the show and we'll see some insiders selling after an even bigger rally. And then maybe that's, an indication that things have peaked, but we don't see that anywhere yet in the insider data on the energy sector in Canada. They're still hanging on and adding a little bit.
What are you seeing at Obsidian Energy?
This is another one where we've seen a little bit of insider activity on the net positive side since our rebalancing in mid-November. But before that, we saw a director, Edward Kernahan, buy a significant amount of shares. And he is what we would classify as a contrarian investor. He bought 140,500 shares towards the beginning of November 1st. And that caught our attention because he's not one, in our experience, to go chasing stocks. He has he looks like a contrarian investor. That's how we would characterize his buying in other companies as well. So we thought that was interesting in the fall that he was buying some shares in Obsidian. So far, it's worked out for him. Sometimes contrarian buying takes a little bit longer than a few months to pan out, but so far that timing has been pretty good.
Sorry, who was the individual you referred to there, Ted?
Edward Kernahan.
Oh yeah,
Kernahan.
Director.
Yes. Yeah. He's a director on a number of different TSX companies. So that certainly caught our attention when he bought at Obsidian.
Kelt Exploration, the CEO David Wilson, widely followed in the oil industry, and he's been buying.
Yes, and first of all, I should say that Obsidian and Tamarak are more kind of oil weighted, and Kelt is more natural gas weighted, and they have some operations in BC as well, whereas Obsidian and Tamarak are Alberta focused. So David Wilson doesn't come in and buy very often, but when he does, we really kind of perk up and go, well, let's see, how much is he buying? Well, he bought 656,900 shares. And that really kind of got our attention when he did that. And that was in December. So he was buying the dip there. And we actually put out a little 2-minute video on our X Twitter feed, Inc. Research. And you can see kind of the signals that we picked up from his buying. And like I said, he doesn't wade in too often, but when he does, it's certainly a signal we look at.
Ted, thank you very much. We better leave it there. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Andy.